Hey, you know, we're cool because we only play local music during this show. That's it. If it ain't local, get out of here. Good morning. It's Thursday, August 5th. Let's head into the KWAM News Zoom room where we have the Public Information Officer for Guam Homeland Security, Office of Civil Defense, Jenna Gaminde. Good morning, Jenna.
Hi, good morning, everyone.
Good morning. Let's just go ahead and start at the beginning. We know that there are 12 U.S. Army personnel that were evacuated off of a U.S. Navy ship and placed in the Government of Guam isolation facility. What can you tell us about that, Jenna? Do you have any details?
Yeah, sure. So our office's involvement, obviously with the procurement of the QFAC and the ISOFAC, really just receiving that situational awareness. We know that the 12 military personnel were transferred to ISOFAC last night. We understand that public health made the decision to assist these personnel and really treat them as standard travelers, which is essentially what they are. Our office's role was really to let the acting chief of staff and the Department of Public Health know that the ISOFAC could, in fact, accommodate based on the parameters of the PO. So we just wanted to make sure that we're staying within the parameters of the PO.
Do you know what ship these Army soldiers were on?
Yes, I'm tracking that. It's from the USNS Fisher. I believe they're here as part of the overall exercise. We received some questions about why they weren't stationed in a ISOFAC on base, and from my understanding, they're here on TDY. So Guam is not their permanent duty station. They're essentially treated as standard travelers. So the ISOFAC is doing exactly what it is intended to do for incoming travelers, both air or sea.
But the Theodore Roosevelt wasn't based on Guam. What's the difference?
I understand. I believe there was a way above my level coordination for Theodore Roosevelt at a way larger scale. But for this isolated incident, I know that Department of Public Health are assisting. They made that decision. And so our office really assisted by just letting them know that, hey, this is within the parameters. We are able to accommodate. These rooms can hold these personnel. So that's all I know for the USNS Fisher and the personnel that are staying at the ISOFAC.
Jenna, your audio was coming kind of in and out when you first told us about this, but can you just go back to the beginning and walk us through the evolution of this incident? At what point was GHS OCD folded into the conversation, and how did we get the sailors off the ship and over to the ISOFAC?
I don't have the full details for the logistics of the movement, but I know that yesterday afternoon, our office received a notice that there was some discussion with Department of Public Health that there was going to be a transport of these personnel. So really our involvement was just to let them know that this is within the parameters of the PO. We can accommodate these personnel at the ISOFAC and that these amount of rooms could accommodate. So yesterday afternoon, and then I know that the movement happened yesterday evening.
You said PO, are they paying to stay in the government isolation facility?
No, under the purchase order with the Government of Guam.
I see.
Well, thank you for clarifying that.
Mm-hmm.
You're welcome.
Do you know if that ship is still here?
I do not. I'm sorry. I don't have full details of the actual ship.
Okay. All right.
All right. So how many people are in the ISOFAC?
Currently, we have 27. 12 of them are those military.
So 27 total in the ISOFAC. 12 are the U.S. Army personnel who were evacuated off the USNS Fisher. What about the other 15?
Sorry?
The other 15 people at the ISOFAC are just locals?
I don't have the full breakdown. They are just standard travelers that are coming in, but I don't have the full breakdown of where exactly they came from.
Jenna, do you just know offhand if the U.S. Army personnel, were they asymptomatic or symptomatic?
I don't have all those details. I'm sorry.
Vaccinated, unvaccinated?
Don't have those details. I'm so sorry.
All right. Can you give us an update
What?
then? No.
Sure.
Can you give us an update on the consolidated, the efforts to consolidate the ISOFAC with the QFAC?
Yes, of course. So, of course, there's been no consolidation yet. The bid specs have been completed, and we're currently standing by for the the go-ahead so that we can move forward with the full bid process. There was a lot of coordination that needed to be done with Department of Public Health, our office, and GSA and Department of Administration to see what the ability was with DPHSS's outlined scope of work. So with the decrease in numbers, there was a lot of different factors. So there just hasn't been a consolidation yet. But in the interim, what we've done, our office has done to kind of meet the governor's intent was to downsize. So there was an adjustment of encumbrance to downsize the quarantine facility of DUCIT from 300 rooms to 74, and an adjustment of the isolation facility with a downsize from 50 rooms to 20 with the ability to surge, which is exactly what we saw with last night's incident. So the purchase orders for both have been amended. I know that I shared information regarding the occupied rate and unoccupied rate previously, so there has been no change there, but there has been a downsize in the numbers.
Can I get that again? What is the occupied rate and the unoccupied rate?
Sure. So for the DUCIT, for the quarantine facility, the occupied rate is $159 per room per day. It's $69 per day per person for 3 meals. And the unoccupied rate is $120 per room per day for DUCIT. And then we also have the isolation facility with Bayview. The occupied room rate is $175 per room per night, and that includes meals. And each additional occupant in that room is $50 per person. We have an unoccupied room rate of $90.
And how many are occupied over at the DUCIT?
Right now, the DUCIT, we have 26 personnel. And there are 0 at the QFAC overflow, which is the DUCIT tower.
Is there a different occupied, unoccupied rate for the DUCIT for the overflow, or the same?
No, they're the same.
Okay. And do we owe any of these facilities?
We do currently. There is an unpaid balance for the DUCIT. It stands at $4,337,479. There is an unpaid balance for the Bayview of $99,190. This was as of August 2nd.
For both, right?
For both, right?
Have we been getting federal reimbursement for the QFAC and the ISOFAC?
Yes. So all of these, all the documentation that goes into this QFAC and ISOFAC, we're using as part of our public assistance. We're putting all that information together so that way we can get that federal reimbursement. So yes, we're moving forward with those.
Jenna, I'm sure you're aware there was a scathing audit that came out from the Office of the Public Auditor, and this was relative to the first round of quarantine facilities. I want to say specifically the Pacific Star, and I know you know the rest because you were here when it happened real time. But the public auditor raised just a bunch of questions, but with the procurement record and everything that had happened with that, I know that we had discussed with you last year, because I guess Guam Homeland Security, OCD, kind of had to go in and I want to say it was Charles or someone we had on here said that the procurement record had to be recreated in order to submit it to the Fed so that we can get reimbursed. Can you tell us the status of that reimbursement and the procurement record for the Pacific Star?
So we are working closely with our FEMA counterparts. We were advised that we are able to pull together all of the details from those different locations that were done before GHS-OCD procurement or GHS-OCD handled procurement. So what we did is we're still using all of that information to submit to FEMA. We haven't received reimbursement for that yet, but we are working towards that. We were advised that we are able to put together those details and still submit. So of course there's no harm in submitting those for federal reimbursement. But we just haven't received that yet.
But how do you submit procurement documents that
didn't exist?
Well, when you guys weren't even involved with, and there were no contracts.
Right. So without those contracts, I believe it's just the invoices that they were billing. They want to fall under GHS-OCD. We're only able to claim those that were processed by GHS-OCD. But at the same time, we are trying to assist and work with our federal counterparts to see if there's any opportunity to get reimbursed for that. I mean, they understand and they recognize that that was used for, these quarantine facilities.
How much are we talking about? How many millions of dollars are we looking at getting reimbursed just for that first round pre-GHS OCD involvement?
Unfortunately, I don't have the exact amount for that one, only for the ones that were procured beyond that. And what I can say is that beyond that, there was no sole source procurement for QFAC or ISOFAC processed by GHOCD. We were still required to get those 3 additional quotes, so we will have all that documentation. But the amount alone for just what's been procured once GHS-OCD started that procurement, there has been a paid invoice for the Tsunami of $30,824,000. For the Bayview, there's been a paid invoice of $5,886,000. So we continue to process all these documents to make sure that the vendors are getting paid and make sure we're getting the documentation to show back to our FEMA counterparts.
I want to ask, is it challenging to recreate the procurement record and the documents for that first round of procurement? Because I think that we had discussed this, I want to say a year ago, that you guys were going to submit this to FEMA.
Yes. Well, we have seasoned administrative services officer here who's able to assist. Are you talking about for GHS OCD procurement?
Before, yeah.
Okay, so before that, I won't be able to speak on behalf of any other agency that's working for consolidating all that information before then, but for GHS OCD, we do have our administrative services officer who's able to compile all the data for the procurement that's been done through our office.
I know you said that FEMA had said, yeah, go ahead and submit what you can submit, but was there any discussion at all about the probability of being reimbursed for the first round of procurement of QFACs and ISOFACs?
No, there's been no, firm commitment, but the same can be said for everything that's been procured through GHS OCD. It's really just a matter of compiling all the information that you have and submitting and being able to meet those, their standards and seeing if we're able to get that reimbursement. So there's been of course, no formal firm commitment yet.
I wanted to follow up then. Are you done with the previous?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah,
So for the current procurement, the one that you guys did correctly, how much has been paid, I guess, so far to for the QFAC and then for the ISOFAC?
So for the QFAC, it was over $30 million that's been paid so far.
Okay.
Close to $31 million now.
Okay. And then
for the Bayview, it's close to $6 million.
Mm-hmm.
That's been paid so far.
Mm-hmm. And then have any of these been reimbursed by FEMA?
I'll get back to you on that. I know that there has been some reimbursements.
Okay.
I don't have the exact amount for what's been reimbursed for QFAC, but I know that there has been some reimbursement. I just don't have the exact amount, but I can get those details.
Okay. Yeah, I thought that. Well, that's interesting that you guys are getting reimbursements. That's because you guys did the procurement the right way, it would appear. Is there any time frame when you're looking to get these get the consolidated facility up and running?
Not at this time. I know that our office is actively working on this with our partners from DOA and with Department of Public Health, but we haven't received any firm date on when we'll be able to move forward with the full execution of the bid process. But we're currently working towards this. There's no exact date on when it'll be done.
Mm-hmm. Is the guard still running the QFAC and ISOFAC?
They're still there. They're still assisting.
Okay. When it turns into the consolidated facility, is that the plan to keep the guard there assisting?
There is discussion for a transition to have the guard pull back, but at this time they're still very much involved, and we're really grateful for that.
Okay. I think that's it I have for QFAC and ISOFAC. Did you have anything else on that?
Yeah. So it was the USNS Fisher. Hold on, let me just look back at the notes I sent for Jenna.
You got any other requests for military personnel to come and stay in the ISOFAC?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Not that you're tracking.
But, while you have a little time, I know you said you're looking back at the notes, but I just want to take this opportunity to thank you both for letting me on here and recognize, the team that are still working here. I know I mentioned this previously, but we still have personnel that are working here at our Emergency Operations Center. We're running 24/7 operations, but we're looking at different ways where we'll be able to either scale back or see what that looks like in the near future. But in the meantime, really just big thank you and big kudos to those that are working here in our Emergency Operations Center, the different agencies that are coming to work with us every day. I'm sure they miss their offices and the work that they do. So it's just been a really big help having all of these different agencies assist as part of the response. Just thank you to those people there.
Right on.
I was going to ask, is it Earthquake Awareness Week?
Yeah, I was going to ask what month
It is, yeah. Thank you. So we're celebrating Earthquake Preparedness Week.
Okay.
This week, August 2nd through August 8th. We'll have a proclamation signing. It's actually tomorrow, August 6th at 10:30 a.m., where we'll have Acting Governor Tenorio proclaim this week. We've been moving forward with a lot of great social media contests and a lot of social media tips on how to stay earthquake prepared. We're hosting contests all the way through the weekend. And really the week is chosen to commemorate the magnitude 8.0, I believe it was downgraded to a 7.9 earthquake that happened in 1993. So it was just such a huge event. We just want to make sure that the community is aware that this has happened and that it can happen again.
Right. Yeah.
We just want everyone to be earthquake safe.
Yeah, I was actually researching some of the because one of my kids had asked me if Guam had ever had a tsunami, and so I reached out to a couple of my historian friends, and they were telling me that there have been a couple small ones. One in 1849, where a woman was swept out to sea and lost when a wave came ashore after an earthquake. And then in 93, which we just talked about, the Pago Bay water receded, then came back up to hip level, is what my friend Polly Eric Forbes told me. So,
yeah, definitely. That's something that we help promote, especially when we do these community outreaches to the children who have never seen or felt a destructive earthquake and know the effects and know that a tsunami is possible here on Guam. The age-old theory the theory is that a destructive tsunami could never hit Guam. And we just want to impress on the community, the children, especially the youth, that it is very much possible. We are surrounded by a reef, but so was, Samoa American Samoa when they were struck by a destructive tsunami. We have the largest trench, but so does American Samoa. They also have a very deep trench, and they were struck by a devastating tsunami. So it's just important to know that it is, although it's rare, it is very much possible here.
yeah, but did American Samoa have Santa Maria Comelin? Boom, don't think so. Were you good?
Yeah. Thanks, Jenna.
Is there anything else we're forgetting about, Jenna? You sure you can't tell us anything else about this USN Fisher? Because it sounds like an evacuation of the high seas.
No, but I do, just like I know the Department of Public Health, they had mentioned this earlier. They are really just trying to assist, and our office is able to assist as well by letting them know, exactly what the purchase orders and the agreements are in place right now. We're just happy to help.
Right. Yeah, when we were talking to Chima, it was not about let's not help the military. It was just like, so, just the basic information on, so, where's the ship from? And so you had the answer, so thank you so much.
Yes. Can you call Chima and let him know?
You.
Go give Chima a ring and let him know, hey, this is USN Fisher. Thank you, Jenna.
Okay, thank you so
All
much.
right,
Appreciate it. Right on.
Take care. Bye.
There you go. Jenna Gaminde Blas. Always a good get for the link. Just straight into the point.
Yep.
Yep.
Informative, professional, articulate.
And actually giving out information. That's cool.
And she's been up there for a while.
Yeah.
So she knows what she's doing.
So what were some of the takeaways from that interview? One of them was that they're still trying to figure out that procurement that was the subject of that hot audit, a audit from the public auditor. A big stinking hot mess of a procurement performed by the former legal counsel and son-in-law of the governor, Hai Hyun.
Right. This is for the first wave of quarantine.
Remember, he screwed it up so bad that they had to go and do it the right way. It was kind of like a big burn because they were like, we have the superpowers, and Apparently, as you know, those superpowers, it ain't super enough to get us reimbursed from FEMA. That's for sure. So that is what it is. Sorry, guys. That's the deal.
But they're working on it.
They are. But it
Homeland
sounds
and
like
Civil
I mean,
Defense.
we talked. I want to say we talked to Charles Estevez last year,
Yeah, we did.
about a year ago, and he was saying, yeah, we're gonna. He seemed pretty confident, but if they're still trying to piece it together a year later, I don't know. But of course, with this
You
ARP,
can't just. What are you going to do? You're going to send emails?
you're gonna send an invisible contract.
Invoices, right?
Yeah, invisible invoices.
No, there were invoices.
No, there were invoices.
I remember seeing them.
But I mean, to me, I wouldn't touch that with a 10-foot pole. If
There
I
were
was
no signed contracts.
if I was Guam Homeland Security Office of Civil Defense, I mean, you're basically asking them to recreate something that doesn't exist. Sounds like they could get into trouble for that kind of thing. I don't know. This is me. I'd be like, nope, sorry, go call your son-in-law back. Let him figure it out.
But you know, she did say that now that they're handling the procurement,
Yeah.
they're actually getting reimbursed for the second wave. Right? She didn't
Yes.
have the specific numbers.
Right, yeah.
But
Because there's a system
there's-
that everybody knows. You can't come off the private sector and, start calling the shots like a big baller because, who you're related to, and then screw everything up, and now we're on the hook for all this money. It's really sad. It's sad that there's absolutely no repercussion. None whatsoever for this. At all. Zero. The Attorney General won't pick up the phone on this, right? I mean, the public auditor did the audit. It does seem like there are some actionable items. I mean, he basically said the whole procurement was illegal. But what are they going to do about it? Absolutely nothing. Good luck with that, going after the former legal counsel.
Matter of fact, we should follow up with Frank Bloss Jr. He did write the AG's office regarding this whole mess and asked him to conduct an investigation.
Correct. Has he gotten a letter back?
We need to follow up and find
We
out.
do. We'll get him on tomorrow because this is new information. We weren't sure, again, because it's been a year since we talked to GHS OCD, and they had said that they were putting it together, and so it kind of made it sound like, oh, they're going to get reimbursed. But come to find out a year later, it doesn't seem like they're any closer to getting reimbursed from the feds for that first round. But the governor can just swoop in with the ARP funds and just pay for it and let it be done. Right? But
No, that
again,
was paid for. It was already paid for.
yeah, no, it's been paid for, right? But the question is, or the thing is, that FEMA would reimburse us for
Yeah.
that, right? And we get the money back.
Yeah.
So that's why I was asking, how much are we talking about here? Right? She was like, "Oh, I don't know about that one. I know the name of the U.S. ship, but I don't know about all that." We'll find out. You just go back and tally up all the invoices. Hey, it's 8:56. Good morning. This is The Link. It's Thursday, August 5th. What a beautiful day. It is. We had a comment here. Yes, Superintendent John Fernandez is coming on in just a few minutes. There's a big press conference they have at 1 p.m., and they're basically going to talk about the reopening plans. And I believe they're going to be joined by the Department of Public Works to talk about the busing schedule for public school students. That's coming up. Gina comments in, can you ask about what the school supplies GDOE will be purchasing to issue out at the beginning of the school year?